most epic autumn farm like ever, where there's gonna be pumpkins, there's gonna be loads of apple trees. I really love fall. If you love fall, go ahead and put a heart emoji down in the comments. We'll see how many people just friggin' love this season. It's amazing. I love watching the leaves change and like doing cool fun things with the family, and it's just the best thing ever. I don't like carving pumpkins that much though, because like the sensory part of carving pumpkins is just bleh. Anyway, this build. So these hills, I got this idea from Kate Emerald's Lavender Fields build, because she made the coolest build. It was quite a while back, but she's an epic simmer, so if you haven't watched any of her videos, you totally should. She's just super great. Well, she did a ton of these hills and put lavender all over it, and it was just gorgeous and amazing, and I loved it so much. So I kind of took that idea for this farm, but this farm is going to be covered in apple trees and pumpkins, as you'll see in a little bit here. And this area, I'm trying to get those hills just right, which is always an adventure. Trying to get them to look like they just sprung out of the landscape, all pretty and ready to go. I really like the couple that I made for this house too, because they're just so cute. I love them, and they're adorable. Anyway, here I'm making the barn, and I'm going to try a couple different ways of making the barn, because you know how it is. You try stuff, it doesn't work, so you try something else, and then that doesn't work, etc. etc. I do try not to put all the fails into my videos, but if that's something you guys would like to see more of, just let me know in the comments and I can keep some more of those in. I try to keep some of them in, but if you want more, believe me, there are more. Just let me know. So I went with like super traditional red barn here, and I really like how this ended up turning out. It was so cute. And this, I'm trying to do this thing where it looks like one of the doors is open, because it's super cute and I thought it would be cool and nice and fancy, which I like very much. Because I think every barn, you know, has those double doors, or at least like that's the stereotype of barns, is they have those cute big double doors. I haven't really seen that many barns in person, which is kind of funny because I live in a sort of rural area, but I haven't seen that many barns. Oh, I forgot I put pear trees in this build too, so there's tons of pear trees, because pears and apples are seasonal to fall, along with pumpkins. I also put in Patchy, the guy with the straw hat. Like, I don't know if you guys have made friends with him in your games, but I have not made friends with him in mine. I find him kind of creepy and kind of like but I've not been brave enough to be his friend yet. Maybe one day. Here I'm trying to figure out the roofing for the house, because I wanted it to have this kind of Victorian feel, but not super Victorian. So it's kind of like if a Victorian and like a four-square house had a baby, it would be this house, which I really do like how it ended up coming out, and it took so long to figure out the roofing for this house, because I had to make it on a diagonal for some reason, because, you know, we just create these problems for ourselves. But I do really like how it turned out, and I like the red and yellow. I think that was a good choice for the color scheme on this house. It's really, really, really cute. So I also did that path that's leading down in the front, and I really like how that looks, like that soft feathery terrain paint against the hills. And there's a gate to get up to the porch. Everything about this house just makes me feel cozy, and like I just want to like grab a book and cuddle up in my favorite chair with like a great big cozy blanket, you know, cozy feels. I might call this the cozy feels house. Especially because I love the couple that I did for the machinima for this house so much. They're so freaking cute. I really like the windows I ended up picking in this house. It took me a long time to figure them out because I love those, like the shutters. It just looks like, you know, that farmhouse that you have in your mind. The thing that I did with this one though that I think is kind of interesting is that it's not your typical farmhouse, because I find that when you think of a farmhouse, you tend to think of like a really big house for like 18 people to live in so that they can all work on the farm together. And I decided that for this house that it would make more sense if it was just a little house, because it's just a little couple, and I thought that was a cute idea. This little thing I'm doing here, I'm trying to make the ground sort of slanted so that you can see the trees and they kind of like go upward. And I think that ended up working out okay. You guys will have to tell me. But and then here I'm placing trees, which I did for a long time. Trees, more trees, apple trees, pear trees. I think I ended up taking out those ones in the front too and putting pumpkins in, but we'll see. And I did the same thing over here with the pear trees. I think that looks cool, that kind of like graded look, because like if you don't do that in a Sims build, like everything just looks kind of flat. And I think that it's important to have that sort of dimension so that you can see everything, because you know that's kind of the point of the Sims builds, is so you can see everything. Now I'm going through and putting just some dirt under the trees so they look all nice. And then I lost some footage there. So there are now fences around the orchards. So that's lovely and nice. And now I'm just putting in some trees in the background, because if y'all are like me, there can never be too many trees in your Sims builds. I love trees. I love plants. In real life, I kill plants. I think this is sort of the refrain of many Simmers, is that like you're great at putting plants in the Sims, and you love them and they're amazing, but you try to have plants in real life and you just kill them. And there's not much you can do about it. That is my experience as well. So let's see. Now I'm working on that upstairs play testing. Now it's funny because I used my Sim self when I was first building this, and I hadn't made the couple yet, which is kind of funny because like in all my other builds I make the family first, but this one my Sim self was in it first because that was who I used to use in my builds. But I got the idea from Freezer Bunny, because he's another epic builder. If you haven't watched any of his videos, you should definitely check him out. But he does like a cool little walkthrough at the end of his videos with the families, and so I started doing that like halfway through this build. I was like, hey, that's cool, I'm gonna do that. So I did it, and it's cool. So little shout out to Freezer Bunny there, because that was a really good idea. And plus, like, you know who you're building the house for, so you can kind of personalize it a little bit more, I think. Because, like, I don't know. It's just more fun that way. And here's some little, I love this object. Like, anytime I have an excuse to use these little handcrafted planter boxes, I love them. I think they are, like, the coolest thing ever. They're so cute. Here I'm like raising the ground so the sunflowers aren't sunken. I think they look better that way. And another tree, because you can never have too many trees. And picking out a picnic bench. I don't know about you guys, but I love the idea of a picnic bench, but then it's like, then you realize that you have to eat outside with the bugs, and you're like, maybe this wasn't the best idea ever. Especially like if it's in like a common area where like people have been like touching it and like smoking there and like doing their thing, and then you're like, ew. I always just think of like how many people have been in this area eating, and like it's gross. Let's move on. Anyway, so here's the pumpkins I was telling you about that I took the trees out to put in. So now we have tons of adorable pumpkins, and this is just the uncarved pumpkin that comes in the spooky stuff pack. I tried to make it look like there were kind of pumpkin vines on the ground that they were coming from. I don't know if I succeeded in that, but that was the plan. And I'm just putting in tons of pumpkins. I love pumpkins. I think they're like, there's something about just like an orange fun pumpkin. It just, I don't know. It's fall, so you know, anything fall is amazing. That's another object I love. The wheelbarrow I just put down with the sunflowers in it. It's so cute. I want like a wheelbarrow with sunflowers in my yard, but then they would die and then I would be sad and it would just not be good. Sorry, I'm smoothing out those hills because I have an obsession with getting them smooth. Maybe more so than I should, but I do it anyway. So I took out the sunflower wheelbarrow because I was like, this is a working farm. People don't just, you know, have cuteness hanging out. It's gotta work. And then I went ahead and put hay in the front as like a cute thing, which is kind of funny, but you know, whatever. I really like how that turned out too, like the hay bales and the pumpkins. I think I put a ton of like piles of fall leaves around them too, but then like when I was play testing, they got stinky so fast. It was very disappointing. So I took them all out so that you guys won't be downloading this video with like stink leaves, cause ew. Is it just me too, or like whenever there's a pile of stinky leaves on your lot, do your Sims like have to go woohoo in it? Because mine, I swear, it's like woohoo fertilizer. That's not a good word. It's like woohoo catnip or something. Where they just like, I have to go and woohoo in those leaves, man. Anyway, that's my experience for the day that you probably didn't want to think about, but anyway. I'm working on the inside now, trying to like get some light in there so you can see what I'm doing. Just picking out some different beds. I really like this one because it's got that autumnal vibe to it. And like, I love this house. I would live in this house if I could. It's just so cute. I love the little country curtains, which is funny because I like, one part of my brain absolutely hates country and another part of my brain loves it. I guess it depends on the type of country. I love like the cozy familyness of country, but I don't like kitschy country, I guess. I love that wardrobe. That one comes from Kids Room Stuff, I think. I love how it comes with the swatches with the pictures in it. I use that in Kids Room sometimes, and I think it just gives like a really good feel of personality to a room, which is always good in The Sims. Do you guys love those ones, those hanging plants from Nifty Knitting? I freaking love them. I was so happy when they came because I constantly use those debug hanging plants. If you guys haven't seen them or used them before, they're epic. They're in the debug menu. So you can find them by going bb. Show live edit objects or bb. Show hidden objects. They're awesome. I love them. They're really pretty. I want this nook too. Like, I guess everything about this house I want, but it's not really my dream house, so I don't know, but there's a part of me that just wants to be a farmer. But then I realized I would have to live on a farm, and farms are dirty and have lots of poop. And that is not how I want to live my life, but I like the idea of a farm. That's the great thing about The Sims, right? Like, you can enjoy the idea of something and make it really cool, but you don't have to live there. You can just enjoy the aesthetic of it, or like the idea of it, but you don't have to really live that life. I mean, like I said, I'm not good with plants. I kill them. Anyway, okay, so I love this idea. I'm like a weirdo, I know, but I love the idea of having shelves above the bed. I don't know why, because like in reality, I wonder if you would like hit your head on it a lot, but I do love the idea of it. I think it would be so nice. I love the lighting I did in this house too, like the little corner lamps and stuff. I never am much of a one for overhead lighting because it's just so harsh. This kitchen, I love it. I just love everything. Sorry, that's just how I live my life, I guess. So I really like that retro stove. I think it's from Parenthood, and I use that a lot. It's in so many of my builds. Same with the matching refrigerator. This kitchen looks like the kind of kitchen that you could just go in and make anything that you could think of, and like all of the ingredients would be there, and like it would be super easy, plenty of room. I think that's the kind of kitchen you'd want on a farm, especially because I would imagine that one of the things you would do to make money as a farmer would be like to make jams and jellies and stuff, and that takes kind of a lot of room because you have to like prep the fruit and everything. I don't know, this is all just like my imaginary farm life. So it's just a thought that I had. I don't know about you guys, but I always have a thing with these like little corners where it's like I want it to fit in perfectly and then it just doesn't. So I just keep messing with it until I think it looks okay enough for like me to deal to be like, okay, I can stop messing with it now. I don't think I used Tool here. I think I thought about it, but I didn't. But you can use the Tool Mod by Twisted Mexi. Is amazing. I could have used that to make those curtains fit better, but I didn't. I think because there's no basement in this house, so it didn't matter if they hung down to the lower level. So I just let it be. I'm making their little TV area now. I wanted this couple to be gamers because like I think there's a lot of gamers now. Like maybe it's more so than not. So it seems to me like most people have at least played games like on a small scale, if not a large scale. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my impression of the world. You'll have to let me know what you guys think about that. I love this rug from my first pet stuff. I know everybody hates my first pet stuff, but I love that rug. I just discovered the grandfather clock that I just put out. Like, that I think is a base game item, and I just discovered it. So you might notice that I have way too many grandfather clocks in my builds now, because that's my new favorite object. I think I'm putting in a bathroom here because I forgot. Do you guys ever do that? You like forget a super important room, like a kitchen or a bathroom. You have to like fit it into your floor plan somewhere. And you're just like, where am I gonna put this? Okay, I guess we're gonna stick it behind the living room. It does work. It is functional. I play tested it. But it is kind of wonky. I will give you that. So here I am working on this little like cute sitting area. I love those chairs. They came with Eco Lifestyle, and yes, I love everything. I guess that's just my new thing. But I would totally buy those chairs in real life. Those burlap, overstuffed, cool looking, kind of traditional, kind of modern chairs. I love them. They're so pretty. I love that crate too. Like, I think that's base game. And I didn't want to put a big old bookshelf in here. So here I'm using the OMSP shelf, which I'll put a link to that in the description too, if you guys are interested in it. To make the books fit on top of the crate, because I think I sized down the crate, and that creates a whole bunch of irritation. I wish that the books would just stick even after you size down the crate. Like, it's very frustrating. But the OMSP shelf helps. I love the red shelf. The red shelf has really changed things. The red shelf and Tool are like the best thing. I love that these cookbooks are really, really awesome. They look like real cookbooks, which makes me happy because I like cookbooks in real life. I have way too many of them. I really love historical cookbooks too, like of like food that was made and eaten in the 18th and 19th centuries, particularly in different parts of the world. It's just fun. I like historical cooking. Sometimes it tastes amazing with ingredients you would never put together, and sometimes it tastes like the worst thing you've ever eaten in your life. I will say, I think I've had more good experiences than bad, but I have had my bad ones, and that may have been me making a mistake, doing it wrong, and not the recipe's fault. But one thing with old recipes, I don't know if you guys have ever cooked from an old recipe, but they don't have a lot of like precise instructions on how to do stuff or what to do with the ingredients. So sometimes you have to just kind of make it up as you go along. So of course that can result in some pretty interesting concoctions when you're just kind of like, okay, I guess I just have to figure this out now. I really like the light I ended up choosing in the front here. I like the vibe that it gives to the whole build. Like, I just like this farm. I wish I could live on this farm. And this little barn. I want an outside place like this where I can just like go and do crafts and stuff. Especially like candle making. I would love to make candles in real life. But just like plants, like it's one of those things that you like the idea of, but then you actually go to do it. Because I've bought stuff for candle making like a lot of times, but it's like, I think I have made candles a couple times. I don't know. So it looks like we're coming up on the ending here. So I am glad you guys decided to click on my video today, and thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to make sure that you know when the next one of my videos